Hi guys, Erica Suter here, and welcome back to my channel on female athlete performance training. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button below so you can get updated anytime I post a new video or podcast episode. Today's topic is all about college recruiting, how to get seen. There are a few things that make athletes stand out above the rest. I used to work at the Johns Hopkins University College ID camp several years ago, and I noticed a few things about some of the girls who attended that made them really stand out. We would have about 60 to 70 girls come out to our camps, and it's it's really hard to find great athletes who are a fit for the program. And yes, everyone was decent at playing the game, but there were a few girls that stood out to me every time based on their personality, who they were as a person, and just their overall character, which is something that not a lot of female athletes think about when they go into these camps. So I'm going to give 3 tips on how to get seen at college ID camps. And the first one is your character. So, a couple of things that I had noticed when I was evaluating were the girls who went out of their way to introduce themselves to me and remind me of who they were and when they had emailed me and they introduced themselves. I could put a face to a name, and they also just showed respect. They shook my hand, they asked me how I was doing, and just doing that alone at the beginning of a camp is going to make me want to look at you as a player throughout that whole camp, as opposed to spending more time looking at the other girls who did not introduce themselves. So it's something like that that's so small that really goes a long way when you start off at a college ID camp. The second one is, how are you treating the other girls at the camp? And this is something else that isn't talked about a lot and is really underrated. But the girls who stood out to me were the ones who were getting to know their teammates and really encouraging the other girls on their team, and not necessarily making the camp about them, but really encouraging and cheering on the other girls and just being this great teammate. That was really huge, especially for us at Johns Hopkins, because that was a part of our culture, was that team chemistry, that support, that motivation within our program. So that was really, really crucial for us to look at. And the third and final thing is making sure that you are going above and beyond within the roles of your position. So a lot of college coaches they're not always looking for girls who score goals. Yes, we're looking at that for forwards we want to recruit. I mean, if you're a forward going to an ID camp, you should be scoring the majority of the goals. If you are a forward and you didn't score a single goal at an ID camp, I'd be concerned, because that's your role. And I know it sounds obvious, but I've seen many forwards come to the Johns Hopkins ID camp and they don't do anything. They don't produce. So why would I want to recruit a forward who didn't show well at the camp? And I get some people have bad days, but it's like, you got to show up. This is you rising to the occasion, and that's what I expect of my forwards who come into my program. They can perform and still score in pressure scenarios. And then as far as center backs or defensive players, I'm looking for speed of play. I'm looking for over communication. I've seen center backs come to our camps who are the quietest on the field. So I'm not going to recruit you as a center back if you're shy. You should be the most vocal person on the field. So these are just some little things how to stand out within your position, because coaches are looking for different things with the position that you play. if you're a center defensive mid, you don't have to be the goal scorer at the camp. You can be the playmaker. You can be the biggest communicator. You could be ball winning and really shining with those strengths. And that's what college coaches are looking at. They're not necessarily looking at the player, but it's the position and the type of personnel that they need within their program. And that's another thing. Don't take it personally if the coach didn't want you. They might not have needed another center defensive mid or an outside back for their program that year. So when you leave these camps and they say they're not interested, I really want you to avoid taking it personally and find a school that is looking for your position and your specific role. So I hope these tips helped you guys. Character really is a big part of the recruiting process. And I've seen a lot of amazing players not get recruited because they had bad character, they were bad teammates, they were selfish, or maybe they had something controversial that they had posted on Instagram. It does happen. So please keep in mind that, and also keep in mind your strengths as a positional player and what the coach is looking for with your specific role in the team. Thank you guys, and see you next time.